Are off to a 4-2 start. Things don't feel great in Philly right now, but they're not alone. After their dramatic Week 1 comeback versus the Ravens, there was a feeling of special season in the air in Buffalo. And when the Chiefs and Ravens each started off 0-3, while the Jets, Dolphins, and Patriots stumbled out of the gates, that feeling of special started to turn to a feeling of invincible. But the last 2 weeks have poked major holes in any arguments for a runaway season for a one-horse race in the AFC, let alone the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills, well, they've now lost 2 straight games. They've been stung by injuries, and they head to their bye week with plenty of reasons for doubt. So I ask, Kimberly, are you more concerned right now with the mighty Bills or the mighty Eagles?
You know what? I'll be honest. I'm not concerned with either of them.
That's fair.
I think both teams will be fine. But if I have to choose one, I'm going to say the Eagles, only because I don't understand what the problem is, guys. This isn't like you're missing a ton of guys due to injuries. It's not because your quarterback's down. They have all the pieces. This is the same core that just won. I understand Mekhi Becton and some other guys aren't there, but essentially it's the same core of guys who just won a Super Bowl. When I look at them, a lot of the frustration is coming from inside the building. Like, players are talking about, well, our offense is predictable. Guys aren't on the same page. And every time I hear it, I'm like, you guys are making it tougher on yourselves. So I think both the Bills and Eagles will be fine. But if there's one team, I'll say the Eagles only because it seems so unnecessary what's happening right now.
I'm going to say Buffalo because I don't like that defense right now. I mean, they let Bijan Robinson run like
200,
he is great. But
238 yards from scrimmage.
He's not Red Grange, not quite. I mean,
Red Grange.
There's a galloping ghost.
Yeah,
I love it.
Save the football Giants, but that's another story for another day. But I mean, I'd be a little concerned about that defense of the Bills. I mean, and Josh is not playing great right now. He doesn't have a lot of great weapons from a wide receiver standpoint. I was very, very concerned with Buffalo. The Eagles were in this situation a little bit last year. There's always that inner turmoil with throwing the football or running the football. Eventually, they should get Saquon back together again, get the offensive line a little healthier.
Why do you say that? Because Saquon right now is on pace for 90.
Talk about it.
Terrible.
Talk about
because
why do you trust?
they miss a lot of those offensive linemen right now. Plus, they don't have a new offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Kellen Moore leaves to go to New Orleans. It's going to take the new guy a little time to get himself together.
Kevin Patullo,
You got to give him a chance.
From inside the building.
So I'm expecting Philadelphia to recover. They did last year. They didn't 2 years ago, but they did last year. I'm expecting them to recover. Buffalo, I see. Look at Buffalo for a second. They beat the Saints. Awful. All right. They beat the Jets. Awful. They had to work hard to beat Miami. They won one game. Baltimore blew the game. They were 40-25 with 4 minutes to go, and the Patriots ran all over them. And now Atlanta runs all over them. That's a little dicey from a Bills standpoint. So I say the Bills, Stevie.
The answer to this question is the Eagles. Kimberly's right. And Doggy, here's what you have to look at. When you have the personnel and you have internal strife, that's a big deal because we understand why the Bills are suffering. It's injuries, it's them being bereft of playmakers that can really, really help Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen having to revert to hero ball, which is why he's turned over the ball more than he did last year. They had a grand total of 8 turnovers for the entire season last year. In Buffalo, they already have 6 over the last 3 weeks. And 5 of them have been Josh Allen. So that's uncharacteristic considering the league MVP and what he's capable of, how he's been playing and how that's changed. With the Philadelphia Eagles, what possible excuse do you have with all that talent that you have? Yes, you have a new offensive coordinator, but he's not somebody that was brought from the outside in. He was there last year. He just didn't have that role. And the point is, you're familiar with these players. You're familiar with the system. You're familiar with Coach Nick Sirianni. Why the hell are you down in every damn category compared to Kellen Moore? Let's look at this here. Down in points per game, yards per game, yards per play, yards per pass, yards per running back rush, and explosive plays. Down in every single one of those categories. Damn, what were you doing while the offense was balling out last year? Sleeping? What the hell were you doing that you couldn't figure out how to replicate what transpired and what worked for a Super Bowl champion, especially when you were in-house. It would be one thing if you coming over from another team and everything is foreign to you, including the personnel. It's an entirely different matter altogether when you're very, very familiar with the personnel. You're very, very familiar with the system. You're very, very familiar with what the coach and the players like and dislike and want and don't want. And still, you suffering like this to the point where they got to dance around the media because, listen, whether you're talking about Hurts, whether you're talking about the offensive line, whether you're talking about Barkley, no matter what, you're really, really talking about Kevin Patullo. You're really talking about him. What they're really dancing around is that nobody has called out the fact that they're not enamored with the job he's doing. And keep in mind that this is an organization that just a couple of years ago, we were talking about Nick Sirianni and how they nosedived and how he didn't need to be calling plays and how he needed to just defer. And that's how Kellen Moore arrived there. That's how Kellen Moore got the job and ultimately was doing the job because we needed to take it out of Nick Sirianni's hands if we were the Philadelphia Eagles. So now you bring in a dude that has no experience whatsoever as an offensive coordinator and calling plays fresh off a Super Bowl championship. That's what you do. That's the position you put Vic Fangio's defense in. That's the position that you put Nick Sirianni or Sirianni put himself in. What the hell was that about? So we love Howie Roseman because I think he's the best in the business. But if there's one area where they dropped the ball, and I'm not saying that Kevin Patullo won't end up being good, Kimberly. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a finished product. I'm saying when you're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions with that kind of personnel, you don't put a novice in there to succeed somebody that's experienced like Kellen Moore that ultimately delivers you a Super Bowl championship. You're going to replace him. You needed to replace him with someone experienced. And they didn't do that, and that's why they're suffering.
And to Stephen A's point, there is scar tissue because of 2 years ago. They had a great offensive coordinator in Shane Steichen. He leaves.
How's he looking? How's he looking? Okay.
But they promoted from within with Brian Johnson, and he wasn't the guy. Last year they hired from the outside with Kellen Moore. He was. So what do?
Promote.
They promote from within again. Are they making the same mistake twice? And is it too early to even go down that path?
It's too early. It's too early, but unfortunately, they're going to be judged by their own standards, the standards that they set. So this history, we're going to bring up, hey, they were 10-1, and then they nosedived. But I will say, Doggy, you brought up with the Bills and how, last year we were talking about, or last year I think you said the Eagles were talking about them and their defense.
They were 2-2.
Yeah. And they figured out a way. I will say a little pushback for the Bills is that they did figure it out too. They were 3-0 to start last year. Then they fell to 3-2. Then the sky was falling. Everybody's wondering what's going on with Josh Allen and the Bills. And then they won 7 in a row to shut everybody up. So I think when you look at recent track record, at least that's why for me, the Bills, the defense is still an issue, but they figured it out. Now with the Eagles, it's just sort of like you're looking at a guy in the building, and it still looks disjointed.
A couple of numbers to throw at y'all. Go ahead, Dougie. Go ahead.
One thing I was going to say about the Bills, keep an eye on the Patriots. Herm is here. Herm Edwards and said the Patriots are going to win in the division. I laughed at him. And you know what? He might be right.
Beat him in Buffalo on a Sunday night.
Number one, and do you see the Patriots' schedule? Oh, my God.
I will be there on Sunday.
Miami, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Tennessee this weekend.
Well, they are going to win 12, 13 games. And Buffalo still got to play the Eagles. They still got to play, at Carolina won't be an easy game.
Chiefs.
They have a very tricky schedule, the Bills, at Pittsburgh. So from that standpoint, maybe New England can win the AFC East. Maybe that makes you more concerned about the Bills.
Horrible for the Bills.
A couple of things. Somebody saying something and proving themselves right and Doggy wrong is not breaking news. It happens all the time. Let's get that out the way first, okay? That's number one. Number two, here's what we also have to say, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles over the last 2 games, 71 pass attempts, only 31 rush attempts. We know that's capitulating to the noise emanating out of the wide receiver room. That's worked against them over the last 2 games, okay? By the way, over those same 2 games, they're 3 for 20 on third downs. So now we got to look at these two big stats. Last year, Kimberly, Doggy, Eagles total offense, they were 8th. This year, they're 30th. Last year, they were 10th, third down offense. This year, 27th. Come on now. At some point, you got to look again. It's too early to write the epitaph, and that's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to say to the offensive coordinator, and this is the part that's so important, you know, you steal successful habits. When people pave the way and they've been successful at something, you try to learn from that. See what works for you and what doesn't. Kevin Patullo doesn't come across as somebody who has done that. You do have people who have been very, very unsuccessful in life. You know why? Because somebody was a predecessor, and they're the heir apparent. And what their goal appears to be is to differentiate themselves from their successful predecessor, as opposed to recognizing what worked for the predecessor. Let me emulate that a little bit so I can enjoy some of the same success as well. A lot of people don't do that, which is why they fail. And that's why, as of right now, over the last couple of weeks, Kevin Patullo and his offense have looked like abject failures.
Stephen A's words speak true here in the business world, in every arena. I would also argue this on Buffalo right here. Bye week,